What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be talking about my experience getting life insurance through Policygenius. I shared in a video recently that I just got a term life insurance policy and I'm really excited. I have a lot of peace of mind knowing that I have good life insurance in case something happens to me, my family is going to be taken care of. So in today's video I'm going to talk a little bit about insurance and like why life insurance is important, and then I'm going to get into my specific experience with Policygenius. Some of you guys may know that I am an attorney, but what you may not know, because I haven't really shared it on here before, is that I was an estate planning attorney. So I dealt with people's plans for death and dying a lot and have a good sense of why life insurance is such a critical part of a financial plan. So just so you understand the background that I'm coming from, why I have some authority to talk on this subject. Before I get into it, I just want to remind you guys that this video is for informational purposes only. It is not financial advice. So if you have any questions specifically about life insurance or taxes or anything like that, I recommend that you talk to a financial professional who can answer your questions for your specific situation. So I feel like life insurance is a pretty commonly understood concept, but just in case anybody's unfamiliar, life insurance is exactly what it sounds like. It's just insurance on your life. When you're insured with life insurance, if you pass away, your beneficiary gets a lump sum of money based on what the policy terms are. And that money is generally tax-free, meaning it's income tax-free to your beneficiary. It's possible that it would be subject to a state tax, like a death tax, but that's a more complicated topic that doesn't apply to a lot of people. It's really only for high net worth individuals. So generally speaking, life insurance gets inherited tax-free, and it really helps out your family if something happens to you while you're younger and have a lot of working years ahead of you. So the way I think of life insurance is I think of that as lost income replacement. So somebody who is older and near the end of their career has probably saved up what they need to save up for retirement and for their spouse and family and kids for whatever they're gonna need to pay for the rest of their life, because they are like at retirement age, so they're not in the wealth accumulation phase. But if you're on the younger side, life insurance is really important, because let's say you have young children and you pass away and you make $50,000 a year and you had another 20 years of working left, that would be $1 million of lost income, because $50,000 times 20 years is $1 million. So you can see how life insurance can really be life-changing for your family if something happens to you when you're younger, especially if you have young children, or at least that are like minors and don't earn a lot of money yet. It can be really important. The other reason why life insurance is so important is because dying can be expensive, final costs can be expensive, administering your estate can be expensive, and the last thing somebody who's grieving wants to deal with is finances and not having money to pay for things. So that's another reason why life insurance is so important, because it can really alleviate that financial stress at a time when people are grieving your loss. So there are different types of life insurance, and it's really important to understand the differences between them. As an attorney, I didn't sell life insurance, so I am not a life insurance expert, but I have working knowledge of life insurance, so I didn't really need to do any research to decide what policy I wanted, because I already knew a lot about life insurance. But I'll link a couple articles below in the video description that kind of breaks down the difference between different policies. But basically there's two main types of life insurance policies: term life and whole life, and there's a couple really important differences between them. The first one is the length of the policy. Generally, term life is just like it sounds, it's for a term. So the policy that I got is a 30-year term, and that means after 30 years the term expires, and if I want to renew it, the company has the option to change the premium amount of the policy. And as you can probably imagine, after 30 years, when I'm much older and statistically closer to death, that premium will go way up after 30 years. Whole life insurance in comparison generally doesn't have an end date. It just, you know, goes on as long as you keep paying the policy premiums. The other main difference between term insurance and whole life insurance is the cost and where the premiums go. So for term life insurance, it's kind of like other insurance. So it's, you pay the premiums, and if you don't need the insurance, then those premiums are just gone, kind of like car insurance. Term insurance is just like that. You pay your premium, you don't own it anymore after you pay it, and it just goes to the company and it's gone, and the policy doesn't have a cash value that builds up. In comparison, whole life insurance does have a cash value that builds up. So when you pay your premium, the premium gets, you know, a portion portion of it gets invested, and this is the part that I don't really know all the details of how it works. And I have not really gotten a good explanation before from a financial advisor who really understands and can explain to me the value that you get out of the investment side of whole life insurance. But anyway, it gets invested and there is a cash value that builds up in the policy. So if you wanted to cash out the policy, you could get something back from it. Or if you don't cash it out, it just adds to the death benefit that you have on the policy. So as you can imagine, term life insurance, where the premiums just disappear and don't add up to a cash value, is a lot less expensive than whole life insurance. So for example, when I quit my job, I had an option to continue my life insurance policy through my employer. And because I thought that I wasn't going to be eligible for life insurance, which I'll get into in a second, I looked into it. I followed up and I was going to roll over that policy and take over the premiums, and I followed up with the company, I think it was Prudential, and I thought it was going to be a term life policy, but it was actually a whole life policy. When I called Prudential, they said, okay, the policy has a death benefit of around $100,000 and the premium will be $226 per month. And to me, I really didn't want to pay $226 per month for a $100,000 death benefit. So I looked into term life insurance. The term life insurance policy that I got is $29 a month and has a $500,000 death benefit. So you can see how the cost is literally 1/10 of what I was going to pay for the whole life policy, and the death benefit is 5 times as large. So term life insurance is way less expensive than whole life. You're just not getting that investment piece. Okay, so let's get into the specifics of my Policygenius experience. When I wanted to get life insurance, I thought I was not going to be eligible because I used to be a smoker. And I've read a lot about qualifying for life insurance, and really you're deemed ineligible for a period of time for a lot of companies if you smoke or you used to smoke. So when I found out my policy from my former employer was gonna be so expensive and it was a whole life policy, I did some math and I realized I quit smoking more than 5 years ago. So I thought, you know, maybe because I'm at the 5-year mark, more than 5 years since I've smoked cigarettes, that I may be eligible for life insurance. So I called Policygenius. I got a person on the phone within, I think, 30 seconds, and they did an intake. And so they asked me a bunch of questions about my medical history, about what sort of policy I was interested in, and all that kind of stuff. And they were able to tell me right away if I was like pre-qualified or not. Pre-qualified meaning based on the answers I had given that I was potentially eligible for life insurance versus being totally ineligible. So thankfully I was pre-qualified and I did pass based on, I guess, how long it had been since I quit smoking. And there were some other factors in my medical history that I was worried about that I'll talk about at some point, but that's for another day. But anyway, yeah, there was a lot of questions that I answered in an unfavorable way, I would say, for life insurance qualification. But despite all that, they still said I was pre-qualified, and to go from there, I just needed to schedule a medical exam. So they were able to schedule a medical exam for a nurse to come to my house, and all they needed to do was take my vitals, do a blood draw, get a urine sample, and ask me basically all the same questions I'd already answered again. And they were able to schedule that appointment within a couple weeks of my initial call. So the nurse came to the house, she did all her stuff, and about 2 weeks after that, I heard from Policygenius that I was approved for life insurance based on the medical information and all the lab results that they got, and that I could go forward with my policy. So like I said, I did a $500,000 policy. That means if I pass away, my husband will get $500,000, him specifically, because that's who I named as my beneficiary. On life insurance, you get to choose who the money goes to when you die, and you can do it to one person or you can do it to multiple people in percentages or amounts and things. You get to decide how you want to do it. But for me, I have it named 100% to my husband. So $500,000 goes to him if I pass away, and my premium is $29 a month, and it is a 30-year level term, meaning it will always be $29 a month. As I get older, it will not start costing more. The price won't go up. That price is set for the whole 30 years. And that's really important, that you don't have a policy that's going to start becoming more expensive as you get older, because those policies can get expensive quick as you age. So it will be $29 for the next 30 years. And the reason I did a 30-year policy is because after 30 years, I will be at retirement age. I'm 34 right now. And so then I'll be 64, and so I hope that we are done saving for retirement at that point, and my daughter will be in her 30s, which is crazy to to think about and hopefully established financially at that point. So that income replacement that I was talking about, that need to replace my lost income for all my working years wouldn't be there anymore. And so at that point, I plan to let the policy just expire, and at that point, I won't have life insurance anymore. So the way it worked with Policygenius is they are not an actual life insurance company. They get quotes from all different providers and then find you the most inexpensive quote, so they can, like, you know, you don't have to apply to all these different companies. They'll shop around for you. So they're kind of like the middleman between you and the company, and I'm sure they get a commission from the company for the policies that they sell, but they're still getting you the best price on your policy. So before I got the medical exam, they sent me some paperwork via an email that I used DocuSign to sign, and so it was just like the official life insurance application. And then after the medical exam, when I was approved and I decided on the final terms of my policy and the price and everything was all set, then they sent me more documents through an email, and I DocuSigned those as well. So everything was done through like phone call or internet, or like somebody coming to my house. I didn't have to leave my house or physically go sign any documents or anything. Nothing had to be notarized. It was just really easy and simple. And each step of the way, I would get email updates from Policygenius letting me know the status of my application. So it would say, okay, thank you for applying, your application's been received, and then, you know, your medical appointment is scheduled for this time, make sure to do these things to be ready, here's some suggestions, and then a reminder, hey, your medical appointment, you know, someone will be coming to your house on this day tomorrow, just a reminder. And then we've got your lab results, and, you know, just kept giving me updates along the way, which was really nice. And I never had to follow up with them to push it along. They just kept it moving forward the whole time. So it minimized my effort to get this taken care of. And the whole process from start to finish was done in about 4 weeks. I think that was faster than usual. They quoted me 8 weeks, I believe, at the beginning. So sometimes it could take longer if they have follow-up questions or, you know, other stuff going on that comes up in your medical history or whatever. But for me, it was pretty quick and easy. Now I'm insured. Now I know that if something happens to me, that my husband and my daughter will have something to help them through and keep them afloat for a while, where they're figuring stuff out. If my husband needs to take some time off of work to deal with everything, he would have the ability to do that and the flexibility to do that. So it really gives me peace of mind knowing that I have this set up. So that is it for today's video. If you want to check out Policygenius for an insurance policy for yourself, then I will have them linked in the video description below. If you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. It really helps out my channel. And if you have any questions about anything I talked about in the video, make sure you leave it in the comments. And if you want to see more videos like this from me, then make sure you hit that red subscribe button. I would love to have you as a subscriber, and I'll see you guys soon in my next video. Bye.